Real Madrid 2, Chelsea 1 in the final pre-season game in the United States for Chelsea. Still some big defensive mishaps. Still some very good attacking approach play. A lot of work for Enzo Maresca to sink his teeth into in the coming weeks. But hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Make sure you've turned those bell notifications on as well. I want to hear your views. I want to get your opinions. I want to know what you personally felt about that game from a Chelsea point of view. You can give me the Real Madrid perspective as well if you would want, but obviously we're a Premier League channel focusing on that side of things. I know there's quite a few of you tuning in already. More of you are watching in the morning, so really looking forward to hearing what it is that you have to say. And we've got some interesting comments to begin with. Saying Madueke's ball control is terrible. Sterling's earning 250k a week. Sterling messed up 5 chances. That's no words. Chelsea are a finished club. A lot of Chelsea's with a big L there saying that they are losers. George here says over £1 billion of shite football to send you asleep. Clown Lake out. RIP Chelsea from 2002. And of course, Guna Dan, no problem with streaming. We've covered quite a lot of sort of EPL teams. I'm actually going to turn the iOS up on my camera. It's a little bit low. I need to make it a little brighter. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So it's a little bit low for some reason, and I didn't like how it looked. That looks a lot better in my humble opinion now. But yes, we've covered a lot of the Premier League teams over the course of preseason. And yeah, look, Chelsea have been an interesting one that I wanted to keep an eye on with everything they have going on. And if I'm honest with you, I'm not as damning as some of you in the comments. I'm not at a point where I look at Chelsea and think it's all over, it's all finished, it's all doom and gloom. However, I do understand why people have that perspective and that point of view. The approach play isn't bad. They did create an abundance of chances tonight against Real Madrid. They did create chances against Man City. They created chances against Leeds. They obviously beat Club America. And they probably should have beaten Wrexham, if we're being absolutely honest. So the football and the approach play at times is decent. But that isn't the only element of football. Some people are kind of attracted to that element of football, like magpies are to a piece of tinfoil. And they sort of focus on the shiny bit and ignore all the other key and important elements of the game in terms of a singular match. Defensively, this Chelsea team looks all over the place. The volume of mistakes, players being caught out of position, the right-hand side of their defense and midfield as a collective. Initially, we were seeing in preseason the right back and the left back, one or the other, play in central midfield, and they were slipping back into a defensive role when they lost possession. We thought maybe that's why there's a lot of holes in that area. In the last 3 games, I think it is, we've seen the fullback start in their natural positions, and one of them, typically today, Gusto, invert into those central midfield areas. But we still have seen those holes, especially on Chelsea's right-hand side, the left-hand side, if you're the attacker. And look, Real Madrid, of course, have got some of the best attacking footballers in the world on display tonight, especially in Vinicius Jr., pace for days. But they were really causing Chelsea problems. That isn't to say Chelsea couldn't have scored either. But as a football team, when I look at Chelsea becoming stronger defensively, leaking less opportunities and chances are going to be absolutely key. And you can still see that this team is getting to grips with the style of football that Enzo Maresca is trying to get them to play. Some of the balls, some of the passes they make in defensive areas, and even the holding midfield players or Gusto when he moves into those areas is just very risky. And if they make these mistakes in the early stage of the Premier League season, they will be punished. There's no doubt about it. So I don't want to sit here and be overly negative about another defeat for Chelsea, but the defensive setup, the style of football they're trying to play leading to mistakes, and whether it's the personnel not being good enough. And I was talking to a few Chelsea fans in the group chat during the game, and Jem sort of said this system is essentially right, but it's going to expose the players that are just not good enough to play this style of football. And I think there is a fair element of truth in that. Now, I want to caveat all that by saying I've seen teams before have poor pre-seasons and then come to life when the football is genuinely competitive. And that is a distinct possibility. That could happen. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. But Maresca needs to, in my humble opinion, needs to get the defensive element of his team fixed and working well. I think the approach play is good. There's still some question marks over the end product and putting the ball into the back of the net. And I think that's something that they've also, listen, they're going to go and buy Samuel Amarodian. Good prospect. They have to go out and get Victor Osimhen. They have to. They really, really do. Mihajlo Mudryk should not be touching grass to the vast majority of this season. Go and buy two strikers. Move Nicholas Jackson out onto that left-hand side. He's going to do a better job. I thought it was another disaster class from him when he came onto that football pitch today. And I also think what Maresca's got to do soon, and maybe we saw it tonight. I don't know if this is Chelsea's final preseason game or just the last one in America, but he's got to settle himself on a fixed back four so they can start getting used to one another. We saw Reece James have a really poor game tonight. Levi Colwell up and down. Is he going to start tossing the new signing, or is it going to be Badia Shield? What's happening to Wesley Fofana? I think if there's too much chopping and changing early this season, you're not going to create the continuity needed to really bring this new style of football to life. But look, are there patterns of play? Everyone loves that phrase. Can I see what they're trying to do? The answer is yes. They're trying to play out from the back and be progressive, move the ball quickly. But this, in my opinion, is not going to be a quick fix for Chelsea. I don't, at this particular moment, and I could end up being wrong, and I'll hold my hands up and say, wow, I didn't see this coming. I don't believe this is going to be a 2 or 3 month jobby and it's all fixed. I think there's a bigger task at play here for Chelsea Football Club, in my humble opinion. But as ever, I want your thoughts. I want to know what you think, what you feel. Whether you're a rival, whether you're a Chelsea fan is irrelevant. I want to know what you think and feel about everything that I have just said and the game tonight in general. But remember as well, and I haven't said this, is the first preseason game. I've not said it, but I will echo it to make sure the energy is the same. This is preseason. Fitness is the most important thing, more than the results. But I think we can take elements out of these games. Raphael here says firing Poch was a madness. That's my thought. Goalkeeper also sucks, is what Maradon says here. I'm not convinced by the goalkeeper tonight. I mean, I'm just not convinced by Chelsea. From their midfield back, I'm not convinced about them defensively at all. Whether it's personnel, system, and a combination of the two. Speak on Enzo. I thought Enzo was okay today. Didn't do anything spectacular. I didn't think he was god awful. I just thought he had a little bit of a beige game. I didn't think anything much of it at all. Genuinely, I didn't think much of it at all. NRV says, nah, Terry, remember they've got the third best squad. I don't think any Chelsea fan genuinely believes they have the third best squad in the Premier League. Potentially, if you view it from a footballing talent perspective or footballing potential, you could make that call and that argument. But they don't have a better squad than Arsenal. They definitely don't have a better squad than Man City. Liverpool are still a better team than them. And there's a lot of development that's needed for them to become the third best squad in Premier League football. And yes, I know Don may think it, but I don't either. I really do. Noni, Sterling, and Mudryk are terrible. We're finished if they are the winger options. Look, I thought Madueke had one of those weird games tonight. Very good goal, good cross. I think it was from Enzo. The cross was a really good ball from him. He got up well. I thought the left back was woeful. I mean, why is he not challenging? I don't know. But it was a good finish from Madueke. Outside of that, he got bodied early by Rudiger. And then he just kind of shied away from the game. And to hear the Chelsea fans boo him at the end of the match for that awful free kick is crazy. So, yeah, as I say, I mean, there was good moments in the game by Chelsea. I thought Nkunku did well tonight. And if Raheem Sterling could have passed, the ball properly, he'd have had a tap in, I think, to make it 2-2. That might have made it 2-1 actually at that point. So yeah, look, I mean, there were a number of areas that were good. I'm not going to sit here and kind of deny that or pretend like there wasn't some good things tonight. Grey Wolf Dinner said the left wing is going to kill Chelsea if it's not addressed. Sterling and especially Mudryk are not good enough. Sterling just looks absolutely past his best, and Mykhailo Mudryk is just when I said the regression, I watched him play a number of games in the Champions League. If you guys remember and go back to 2 seasons ago, we were sponsored by Tops FC. So I was watching a lot more Champions League football and covering a lot more games than we typically used to. And I watched him and thought there's some real talent here. There is some real potential. A decent first touch. He could beat a man. He wasn't the most skillful, but with the pace that he had, I thought it was electrifying. And I looked at a really young, talented footballer and thought to myself, if someone gets hold of him now and nurtures him and develops him, he could be really special. He's gone to Chelsea, and the regression is astronomical. And I'm not blaming Chelsea directly, but I believe what this signing was, and I think in a few years' time, whether you're a brilliant team again or a bad team, you'll find this stuff out. There's echoes here of what Man United did in the early years under Woodward, and that's almost, Man City want Fred, we'll buy him. City want Alexis Sanchez, we'll buy him. I think there was an element there, and I don't think Chelsea do it with every transfer. Well, we've seen another club wanting, we're going to buy him. But I almost feel it was just a case of, well, Arsenal won him, let's get him. And I don't think there was any time or consideration made into why do we want him, how are we going to develop him, and what's needed. At Arsenal, you'd have already had Martinelli at the football club, and I think Mudryk would have been used sparingly. I feel like he came to Chelsea, and it was like all on. It's just fallen apart. And I do agree with you, Grey Wolves Dinner. I don't like to write people off too early, especially in pre-season, but he's 18 months into his Chelsea career. I don't remember too many good games. I don't even remember too many good moments. And there was a time where he had a good little dribble today. He cuts in inside and shoots, and it goes out almost for a throw-in in a different football stadium. And he does that too often. So, yeah, I do agree with you on that. And I'm trying not to be too harsh, but I've got to be honest. Grey Wolf's in here with 52 months as a member. That's amazing. Thank you, sir. He says, I felt it was a much better performance. Left wing, though, was a massive issue. Neither Sterling or Mudryk are good enough. Gusto will bench James. He looks great. Well, but yeah, Gusto did look good. He gave one ball away in the middle, but defensively looked strong. Reece James was being caught out of position. He looked all at sea. And I do agree. I think Gusto may start on the right, and then Cucurella on that left-hand side maybe makes a little bit more sense at this particular juncture. But what I would say in terms of your performance being better, your approach play at times was very good. The defensive setup, genuinely, I'm not even saying this for any kind of reaction, poor beyond belief. And I made this claim in the group chat, and I will say it publicly. I've already stated that there is the distinct possibility that it clicks into gear early and Chelsea look great at the beginning of the season. So if what I'm about to say doesn't happen, please don't think that I'm not aware there are other possibilities and open to those suggestions. But if Maresca doesn't fix these defensive issues quickly, if the right back and the right centre back are not continually being pulled out of position, if there isn't this big hole that is formulated on the right-hand side for Chelsea, sort of in between the right back and where their two pivoting central midfielders sit, that hole there, if that hole isn't fixed, the right side being pulled out of position regularly, and on top of that, the individual mistakes in possession are not cut out by 80-90%, this could be over for Maresca by November, by December. The volume of chances that Chelsea have conceded through huge holes in their setup and or terrible mistakes from individuals during this preseason has been massively eye-opening. And although the approach play and the attacking play at times has looked good, and I've not denied that for a single second, if that approach play is that bad in the Premier League in a competitive, if the defensive play is that bad in a competitive Premier League game, this Chelsea team could get smashed about. And if that happens, the first team players lose confidence, the fans start to lose faith, the media jumps on top. And I'm not saying it will be over, but it certainly could be over before it's even really started. And I really do think that is an area that Moresca has to address and address very, very quickly indeed. Super chat here says, no blame on the manager. If the owners recruited a manager with a similar philosophy last season, this transition would have been much easier. Listen, I hear you on that. And I'm not even saying that this is on Moresca per se. There are elements that will be on him. He's the head coach. But I'm talking about the pressure that comes, the media attention, the fans that will turn. I'm talking about the reality of the situation versus what should be. And I'm yet to see. This is something that cannot be disputed at this particular moment. There is no evidence that this Chelsea board will stick with the manager long term through the bad times. Because since they've been here in the last 2 years, they sacked Tuchel, they sacked Potter, they hired Lampard for a short period of time, they sacked Poch. So it's 3 proper managers, 4 if you include Lampard, in 3 years. Yes, they're saying publicly, we're here for the long haul now. There are no guarantees of that. And what Moresca has to get right quickly is the defensive issues at Chelsea and then build from there. Vinny ate them and he didn't even have a fresh trim. I did think at times as well tonight, I want to be fair, Real Madrid almost like toying with their food at times. And can you imagine what a Real Madrid team with Bellingham and Mbappe, Camavinga, Tchouameni, Mendy, Carvajal could have done? It just shows the levels. And by the way, this is predominantly Chelsea's first team. You've got Palmer to add back into this. You're going to sign Samu. You might throw Jackson in, Cucurella. Am I missing anyone? And of course, people being a little fitter, but the Madrid team are not fully fit yet either. So, yeah, the difference is crazy. This is a decent first half. Badiashile is shocking. Defense needs work. Listen, Gav, I agree. I don't think Badiashile, when he first came into the Chelsea team, I was quite impressed. I thought, oh, he looks decent. But this is the one thing I'm not confused about. I'm open-minded about it and open to suggestions. Who are going to be the main starting defenders? I think we know it's going to be Gusto and Cucurella at fullback. But who are going to be the main starting centre-backs? I get why he's rotating now. He's testing out combinations, what he likes, what he doesn't. But Baleta's got to make a decision, and he's got to make a decision very, very quickly about whom it's going to be, because he's got to start creating those relationships and those understandings. Maybe I'm getting old, but I am not bothered by preseason results. Listen, I understand the results not being the issues. I think what I would say about preseason now, based on the teams that we play, is it does give you an idea about the style of football. Now, for instance, Real Madrid weren't at their best tonight. But look at the amount of players they've got to come in, and they've got a track record of playing at a high level. So you can discount their results more than I think you can Man United or Chelsea, for instance, this summer. I think there is far more stock in how we're playing and what it looks like than there are the teams that are tried, tested, and proven. In my personal opinion. We're missing 3 starters, and it's a brand new system. Real Madrid are the best team in the world and had 3 shots on target. Context. And that's fair. And that is absolutely fair. But they actually missed some gilt-edged chances as well. So them missing the target is not a glowing endorsement for Chelsea. And yes, you had 3 starters missing, but they had about 6 or 7. And it is a brand new system. And I'm not denying any of that. So don't let cognitive dissonance kick in. Don't let concern or worry kick in, and listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I think the manager is going to have to be given time to get this to work and to click. But I think for him to get that patience from the fans and the board and the media, all 3 together can make him lose his job quickly. To get that, he's got to shore things up defensively very, very quickly. I really do think he has got to do that. There's no doubt about it at all. Terry, you didn't mention Danny Almo on Straight Facts today. Yeah, I mean, it was meant to come up and then it didn't. But yeah, well done to Barcelona for signing him. Mudrik's the best in the world. That team today would give a lot of teams problems. No, I understand that. And that's why it's an acid test for Chelsea. But remember, the same way that Madrid cut through them, so did Wrexham, so did Leeds, so did Club America at times, but it didn't score. So did Man City. It shows you there's a system issue there that needs to be addressed. And maybe it will be addressed. I don't think it's wrong to call that out. Let's have a little look here. Our best defender is in the market, ready to be sold. Chalobah. Badiashile is absolutely useless. He has no clue, and James don't know who, when to attack. Serious problem. Let's be honest. All our hope is on Palmer doing what he did last year and Nkunku to add a few things to the team. I expect inconsistency again, is what Fred has got to say here. And look, that could very well be the case. As I've said all along, I'm remaining very open-minded to this situation. I think you have to be. But look, I want to thank everyone that's tuned in, and that's very, very late. I'm going to get some sleep. Back tomorrow with more transfer updates, more content for you. Straight facts in the afternoon as well with Mo and Hussam. That's 3:30 UK time. So make sure you are all tuning in. Until next time, my people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.